Coming up on this episode.
Corey, you did a great job because you have found not just the anaphase we're looking for, you found a telophase, which is the next one. But let's talk about the anaphase first. Anaphase Hi, welcome to Evidence for Faith. This is your host, Michael Lane, on a new creation clues for you. And today we're going to notice that it's springtime. Hey, I'm in a short sleeve shirt. We got leaves again on trees. Thank you, Lord. And we have warmer temperatures. It's really nice. Things are starting to grow. It's all looking beautiful again. And I want to draw your attention today to something that's really interesting, that shouts the existence of God, yet most people don't even notice it as they walk through their neighborhoods or walk through the forest. It has to do with certain types of trees and plants. They get new growth coming out here in the spring. Have you ever noticed, like in this plant here, we have deep inside, if you noticed, the coloration is a very different color than the edges, the outer edges. It's darker green deeper into the plant, where the outside edges, the new parts of the plant, are more, in this case, a bright yellow. Why is it like that? Because I'll tell you, in about another month, it'll all be uniform in color. Also, it's softer than if you feel on the inside. The inside is sort of prickly. This isn't as prickly. This new stuff is very soft. On this plant here, you can see a very dark green color, bright green color, where over on the sides where it's coming out and these little buds and stuff are, this is a different color. Why is it like that? What's going on? Well, this has to do with what we call apical meristems. It's the new growth. Sometimes we call this buds. Most people commonly call it a bud on a new plant. After the plant has wintered through and survived through the winter, in the spring, as it starts to get warmer, temperatures coming up, we get more sunlight and stuff, these ends of the branches start to grow. And it's a little tiny part at the very end of the branches where you find these meristems. Now, meristems can be found on other parts of the plants. For instance, it's having to do with new growth. So as a tree is producing new branches, you're going to see meristems there. We can't see down below, but the roots are growing also and growing longer. There's going to be a meristem at the tip of the roots. Also, inside of a big tree, for instance, a large tree that we have, there's a meristem. If we were to cut this tree, we're not going to do that because this is my front yard, but if we were to cut this tree and look at a slice of it under the microscope, we would see another type of a meristem, and this one's called a pericycle. We're standing next to a spruce out at the Leonard J. Yar Park, where we've come out here before for some of our creation clues. And this spruce here is a great example of showing you what I'm trying to get across to you about meristems, and how you can just walk through the forest and see these. How many of you have walked through a forest and seen, as I pull off this one branch here, and see the difference now as we have, these leaves here are from last year. These here are from years before. And the thing is, they're prickly. Even me holding this, it's very sharp. Ooh, don't like it. Ooh. But this, oh my gosh, it's almost like soft rubber. This is the meristem. This is this year's brand new growth for this spring. So this is the meristem. Before the meristem started growing, it was just a bud, but as the bud started to produce in the spring, then it starts doing this mitosis thing, and you can now see the result, how it's made so many new leaves, these needles, and this whole thing is soft. But as the summer comes closer, as we leave spring and go into summer, this won't be as soft and as lighter in color. It'll be more just like the rest of it. It's the new growth. How cool is that, this new growth here? From the old into the new. As we keep walking down the path, here is an ash tree, a very young one, as you can see. But again, you can see the limb on this is very dark brown, grayish brown. This is the old growth and stuff like this. And it ended with a bud this past fall at the very end of this. Notice the new part now growing here. This is the meristem. This is where all the activity is for making the new branches. And notice, in this case, it's very bright green, but that will change as time goes on. This tree here in my front yard is called a river birch. I want you to notice something. It has meristems, like I said before. Meristems grow at the end of the branches. During the springtime, we see the new growth, which is lighter in color. But sometimes, because it's softer and it's easier to chew on and stuff, insects, a type of insect primarily in the North Woods of Wisconsin here and stuff, is called a bud miner. As I told you, meristems are sometimes called buds, commonly. There are certain insects that chew on the buds. Now this tree here, you can see the trunk was growing very, very straight. The stem of this tree, which just kept growing. But many, many years ago, when it wasn't that big, you'll notice there's a fork in this tree. Why is it different? Is because in the spring, some years ago, a bud miner most likely was sitting on the end of the branch in the springtime and chewed and ate and damaged the meristem. If you damage the meristem, if you pinch it, if you crush it, or if you even snip off the end of it with a pair of scissors, instead of having one branch, the meristem will grow into two pieces, and thus you get a fork. Thus, you see in certain trees like birch and aspen, they're often attacked by these bud miners, and if you look carefully, you'll sometimes see it branch. Notice that each branch is the same thickness. That shows they are the same age. That tells us pretty certain that was a bud miner that did that. And if it doesn't get affected, it'd be just like this branch here, it just grows straight. Now, why is the color different? Why is this color? Or looking back at this one here, why is this one so much more yellow than the darker green? Well, as this plant is starting to grow and produce new branches through its meristem at the end, the new cells, the new plant parts that are coming out, don't have all of the chlorophyll A and B. Maybe you've listened to our creation clues on plant pigments in the fall. Well, there's different type of plant pigments, and these trees here, this thing here, it has both chlorophyll A and B, which is green, but it also produces xanthophylls, which are more yellow, and carotenoids, which are more orange. Well, it doesn't have as much chlorophyll. It's new. It hasn't made as much chlorophyll yet to cover up this yellowish color. So the yellow color that we see here is another plant pigment, and it's just showing it's new, but it will turn darker as more chlorophyll A and B are made. But how in the world does it make the plant longer? How does it make the plant bigger and taller? Well, to find the answer to that, we've got to go into the studio and get to our microscope. Now we're back in the studio, and we have our microscope, which you can see is right in front of us here. And I have a special guest with me. This is my granddaughter, Cora, who's fascinated with science. Notice she even has her own lab coat. She's going to help operate our really nice microscope and help us see the meristem areas where the reproduction has been occurring. So let me explain to you a little bit about how these slides are made. Now, you don't have to make a slide like this. You can go to a company like Carolina Biological. You could probably even go to Amazon and buy a prepared slide. And they're very inexpensive, but you can get these slides very easily if you just buy them. You can make them, but to do that, it takes a lot of work. You need this is an expensive microtome, where you put the specimen in here, put a mounting media, and then using a razor blade, you slice off super thin slices. And you have to use stains and stuff to be able to do that. We're not going to do that. That's just, no. Well, it's easier just to spend like $5 and get the slide made. And that's what we're going to use here today. Now, as we said, there's different apical meristems. There's an apical meristem at the top of the tree where the tree's growing tall. There's one also down at the roots. We're going to look, because the root is easier to see under the microscope. Using a microscope, you got to make the sections so thin and stain them so you can see them. And using a stem tip, it's really, really thick and sometimes very woody. So what we're going to do is we've purchased a onion root tip. Now, I didn't show you onions outside, but it's basically the exact same thing. And what we're looking for, if you recall, what we're looking for is how cells are growing. The process is called mitosis. What is mitosis? Mitosis is how cells reproduce. And they're making carbon copies of each other. They're going to be exactly the same. And we do mitosis, plants do mitosis. Anytime that you're having to replace a cell, you fall down, get a scrape, and you have to make new cells to replace. That's going to be mitosis. The cells are reproducing. Well, plants do this also, and this is how plants grow. So we're going to take the slide here, and I'm going to give this to Cora, and she's going to put this on the stage of our microscope. And while she's doing that, let me just tell you that you can find the specimens, the cells, in 5 different stages, but only 4 of these are in mitosis. So with this now, we're going to turn the scope on, and Cora, find us, first of all, a low magnification of an onion root tip. Here is the tip of the root at 40 magnification. But we're going to move this up now. We're going to go to 100 magnification and let you see this more closely. So as Cora switches the magnification here, as she works the microscope, I'll explain. And as it's going to take a few seconds to focus it. We want a really, really good picture. But now this is only 100 magnification, so this is not going to be super powerful. But as you can see now, is what we have here. Cora has got this and she's positioning the slide for us. Oh, you can see individual cells, little compartments with blue dots in them. And this is the very, very tip, the fast-growing tip of the root. Now, the roots are doing this all the time. They're growing. They're producing, deepening their roots into the soil. But the stems are only doing this, primarily they do this in the springtime, which is why we had that color. Now, what you're seeing here is you can see a lot of different types of cells that are in different stages. The different stages are the different stages of the cell cycle of how these cells are living. Now, when a cell is not doing much of anything, if it's not dividing, I should say, because they're very active all the time.
Right.
But when they're not dividing, we're in a stage that scientists call interphase.
Right.
Now, interphase is not, and I repeat, not part of mitosis. Interphase is what the cell is in when it's not in mitosis. In other words, when it's not reproducing, it's in interphase. And it's very active. It looks like a resting stage. It is not resting. There's a lot of activity going on there. The DNA is making copies of different genes and proteins. There's a lot of stuff going on. We don't have time to go into that. But now what we're going to do is we can see this at 100. Cora's now going to bring us to 400 magnification, and let's look to see these stages of mitosis. And they're going to go in this order. It goes prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Now, at 100 magnification, we can see some cells here in what is interphase. If you look at 1 o'clock on the image here, we have a couple of cells, two very, very large cells. You can see the box around them. That's the cell wall, and the cell membrane is right up next to that. But you'll see that there's two big dark circles. Now, those are two different cells, and each cell is just sitting there, and they're in interphase. Now, if you look straight down, go in that same column, go down a couple of more cells, you'll see a big dark circle is not there. It's sort of like becoming little fuzzy pieces, like the cell exploded or something over on the side there. This is prophase. During prophase, the nucleus dissolves and the chromosomes form. The chromosomes are in the interphase part. I mean, they're in there, the DNA's in there. Right. And chromosomes are made up of DNA wrapped around little proteins called histone. Right. But you can't see them during interphase. But during mitosis, you can. And in prophase, they start to become visible. So now, once we have these little squiggly things, look like gummy worms sometimes, all around inside the nucleus, but the circle of the nucleus is gone, the next stage that happens is called metaphase. Now, Cora, show us a nice metaphase. Metaphase, now remember, the whole point here is how the cell is reproducing, making new growth as the spring has come. Now, metaphase, the chromosomes who have formed now, they line up at the equator. In the middle of the cell, they line up. And you can see this perfectly in the center part of this slide picture right here. And we're at 400 magnification, and this becomes very, very easy to see. So this stage will sit here for a few seconds. It depends on the species. In some species, prophase takes a couple of minutes. Metaphase can take like even a minute or two. So this is taking place sort of fast in its life. But here the chromosomes are lined up. This is metaphase. Now the next phase is anaphase. What's going to happen, there's protein, little strands. You can't really see them because they're not stained here. But the chromosomes which are lined up are going to pull apart. That's called anaphase. They're moving away. Anaphase, moving away. And Cora's going to show us a really nice anaphase now. Cora, you did a great job because you have found not just the anaphase we're looking for, you found a telophase, which is the next one. But let's talk about the anaphase first. Anaphase, as we said, the chromosomes are pulled away. Right about in the center, you'll see two big, inside of a large cell now, the cell's pretty good size, but you'll see two large goobers of chromosomes. This is anaphase. But notice there's no nucleus yet. There's just the chromosomes clumped together. So that's the next phase, anaphase. And then we get to the final phase, which is right here, right to the left of it, we have a telophase. Telophase meaning we're coming to the end of the cell cycle, of the mitosis, of the end of this, and it's about to go back into interphase. What we're seeing here is a little split occurring. You have where the chromosomes were have now become sort of darker like a nucleus, and yet the cell is still together, but you'll see in the middle there is a line going across. This is called a cell plate. A cell plate, and then once that happens, the cell actually divides. This is sort of like right in the middle of telophase. And then when it divides, you'll have two new cells. So let's take a look at a late telophase now where it's going back into metaphase or into interphase. Core just found us another really great example of a telophase. This telophase is almost totally done. You'll see down at about 7 o'clock, it's still one big cell, but there's two large dark clusters with a line in between them. That line is called the cell plate, and it's getting ready to divide. That's a great picture there. Now, when it divides, it will form, the nucleus will form back to how it looked like before, and you'll have two cells there. Now, we see this right in the center of the picture of the field of vision you're looking at. There are two cells where the chromosomes, you can just barely make them out in the nucleus. The nucleus is reforming, but you can just barely make out there's still a couple of gummy worms like in there. But you'll see now we have two new cells. That's how cells reproduce. This is then they go into interphase, and we've just made new cells. Now this only takes, and it depends on the species and stuff, but this takes a few minutes to go through this. Now as they grow, as they continue to grow, as the root tip keeps going down or the stem keeps going further out where the meristems are, the cells will then differentiate, we call it, or they'll start to specialize and they'll do certain functions. Some may, help make a leaf structure or a type of structure to help hold the plant together. They have different jobs to do, and that's what happens. But later on, but the whole point is, this is how the cells reproduce. This is what's going on in this meristem, both on the tips and at the roots. And as we said outside, a little bit around the stem itself during the stem part, because cells, the trees and plants do get wider. There's a little bit, but those are harder to see. The root tip meristem is the easiest to see. I really hope you will, if you've got a microscope, try and get one of these slides, look at this, because it is fascinating stuff. Wouldn't you agree? Isn't this cool? Now, wasn't that interesting looking at the cells of these apical meristems under the microscope and seeing what's going on? It shouts the existence of God. And these meristems, like I say, they're soft as they're new. They're not the same color as the rest of the tree, but they'll develop. They also, if you have like a balsam fir or an eastern hemlock, people will many times snip off the ends and then they steep it in hot water and they make a tea out of it. It's very high in vitamin C with those plants, but don't make it too strong or you'll be drinking something that tastes like pine sol. Don't ask how I know. So take a walk in your neighborhood, get out in the forest where God's creation is all around. Look at things like the end of the branches this spring. Take a look and find the meristem, where the mitosis took place, where you can see God's handiwork, a design, a process. Yes, nature shouts the existence of God. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on this Creation Clues, and I hope you will join us again. Until then, take care and may God bless.
Support the show. Become a donor at evidenceforfaith.org/give.